¿Qué ondas, primos?
Primas
y primes.
Welcome to
My Primos.
My Primos
Primo
Podcast. Welcome to the My Primos Podcast.
My name is Freddie.
My name is Kevin Garcia.
My name is Elia Maria Madrid.
My name is Janavina.
This is Chikume, whenever I can make it.
My Primos Podcast discusses all things fandom and pop culture.
From comic books,
Movies,
To whatever obsession we have this week.
But with a Latine
Malatine.
perspective. Remember, we're all primos.
We're all primes.
Primas,
Primos.
No matter what part of the world we're from. ¿Qué ondas, primos, primas, y primes? And welcome back to My Primos Podcast. I'm your primo, Freddie. And with me tonight is my primo and yours, Mr. Kevin Garcia.com. Say what's up, Kevin.
What's up, Kevin?
There it is, everybody. Always feeling that need. But we also have back my prima and yours, the spice in my dreary, boring life. It's Elia Maria, Spice Illustration. Say what's up, Elia.
What's up, Elia?
Welcome back.
Elia. Welcome
Hey.
back, Elia. Welcome
Good
back.
to be
But
back.
you know what? It's enough of that. Enough of that
Enough.
stuff. Enough of you, okay? I feel like I haven't seen you in like a month or two. But we also have a special guest today. I'm really excited. I mean, I'm kind of like star-studded in a way because it's like, wow.
Iconic.
Kevin, why don't you introduce our guest for this evening?
Well, we have one of the, I think, iconic writers for the past several decades of comics, introduced some major characters like Black Goliath at Marvel and Black Lightning at DC, which is the first major Black DC hero there. Also, a lot of inroads for female heroes. Tigra, the Avenger, was already around for a bit, but she was never really noticed until, our guest gave her a whole new look. Welcome, Jenny Blake. Thank you for joining us on My Primos Podcast.
Yay.
I'm happy to be here.
Now, of course, a lot of fans over the years have read your previous name under the credits as Tony Isabella, and I know you've said online that you still write under both, right?
Actually, I'm going exclusively with Jenny from now on. I
Awesome.
don't want people to think I have a split personality
Fair enough.
because I
Fair
don't.
enough.
Yes, I do. I don't. Yes, I do. No, I
Uh-oh,
don't.
On that note, you announced publicly, I think earlier this year, about transitioning. How has that been as far as feedback from the fans and publishers?
The comics community has been wonderfully supportive, pros and fans alike. Within a week of my coming out, DC Comics, I had friends at DC who knew I was transitioning, immediately asked me to write a story for DC Pride, this year's DC Pride anthology, which I was thrilled to do. I can't say publishers are beating down my door, but it was nice to get in that DC Pride, especially in that nice sweet spot of the autobiographical tales that Kevin Conroy and Phil Jimenez had filled in previous years. So I felt like I was really an awesome company there.
Amazing. I read that story, Jenny, and man, it was beautiful. Like I loved it. I kind of sat there reading it to myself, and I was like, wow, because you don't know somebody's struggle and somebody's journey, especially in your scenario where you put it out there publicly. But it felt personal on such a public scale. And I just applaud you for what you've done and gone through, and I really enjoyed that story.
There's always been a lot of me in everything I've written. There's always a part of me in every character I've written or created. And there still is. It's just that me looks different these days and will look even more different as my transition continues.
Looking more like you.
Yes. Well, there was a period, with both trans people, you look in a mirror and you don't see yourself. But recently, even when I'm not presenting fully as Jenny, I look in the mirror and I see myself. I see Jenny. It comes with work. I mean, I've been in therapy now since December of 23. But I do the work. I have a great therapist, and there are these bumps in the road, but I'm overcoming them.
God,
Phenomenal.
it just makes me feel so happy hearing that, especially with like the comic community and like people that you've surrounded yourself by being so welcoming. It's just so refreshing to hear stories that are going well these days now.
Well,
And it's I don't know, it just makes me feel good.
there are always going to be the idiots, but I've been
Of
blocking them
course.
for years.
Good. As we
Like,
should.
They exist.
you're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
pretty, and I go, I have a mirror. I know what I look like.
Right, and that's the craziest part. It's like, okay, you can deny, but like
Well,
I'm
what
right
I really
here.
like is that I only did this to get work, and I'm thinking, I don't believe
Wow.
73-year-old Jenny Blake is going to get work any bit more than 73-year-old Tony Isabella does. You get to
Yeah.
be a certain age, and the industry doesn't think of you
No.
in those terms.
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into it, but this year of all years has been a really hard year for the trans community.
Oh.
Yeah.
Past 2 years, I guess, and it's not like you're trying to make life easier for you. This is more
Yeah.
just making you you, right? So
Yeah.
I get
This
that.
is this nobody does this to hurt anybody. They
No.
do it to help themselves. I knew I'm coming out in perilous times, and that's largely why I went public, because I was raised by Superman and Captain America and Batman before he went toxic. Uh,
That's a real
Yeah,
thing
long
too.
time ago then, right?
I
Long
knew
time ago.
I knew I had to I couldn't hide, and I had to be present. I had to speak out. If my minor celebrity helps somebody, that's great. But this is not a time to be hiding in an attic waiting for ICE to come for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well said. Well said.
Mhm.
Definitely.
I like that you said Batman before he became toxic, because I was really worried that that was going to be happening to Superman. You know what I mean? There'd been a big push for there to be like like, what if Superman was real? He'd be mean. And I'm like, but I don't need that. I wanted, I would joke for people that I wanted the real Superman movie to have the personality of Steve Rogers in the movies, because that's what Superman should be like, that good person. And on that note, I want to ask you about your comics. How did you get started in the comics industry?
Yes.
Well, I learned to read and write from comic books before I was 4 years old.
As a teacher, I appreciate that.
Well, people would read comics to me, and I wanted to cut out the middleman.
There you
I
go.
paid close attention. For a long time, nobody believed I could read, and they finally figured it out that yes, he can read. I Because I could read and write by the age of 4, I was always being pulled out of kindergarten to be shown off by the principal, as if her school had anything to do with my
Wow.
being able to read and write. It was the comic books, and I always loved them. Always thought it was a great way to tell stories. I used to act out superhero stories using my hard green Mark soldiers from Mark's Toys. And then when I was about 11, we were on a very boring trip to Oneonta, New York, where everywhere along the way we stopped, I bought comic books because you could back then. My mother got really upset that I was spending my souvenir money on comic books, and I'm thinking it's my souvenir money. So finally we get to Oneonta, New York. My dad's uncle there owns a big cigar and magazine store. I immediately make a beeline for the comic books. My mother tells me that I can only buy one more comic book this whole trip. So I'm thinking, well, I'm going to show her. I'm going to buy a quarter comic. And the only quarter comic that I didn't already have or had any interest in was Fantastic Four Annual #1.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even like the Fantastic Four. I'd read one issue and it didn't really click with me, but I bought that annual, and I think it's the greatest comic book ever made. I read it a dozen times on that trip, and somewhere along the line it hit me that people get paid for making these, and I want that job. So for the next several years, I taught myself how to write comic books. I corresponded with writers. I picked up a copy of Stan Lee's Secret Behind the Comics. I even had a rarer copy of How to Make Money Writing for Comic Books by Robert Kanninger. And I basically trained myself, got to know professionals, got to be known as a fan writer. And eventually, Roy Thomas hired me to be Stan Lee's assistant at Marvel.
Wow.
Oh my God. Dang.
It's funny. I was about that same age and also on a vacation when I bought my first comic book, and I just got hooked. And kind of like you were saying with the Fantastic Four, I would get Captain America and Superman comics early on, and I was like, why would I care about these guys? Because I thought Captain America was just a jingoistic patriot, and Superman was boring. And it wasn't until later that I really got to appreciate those guys and go back to get the earlier stories.
Speaking of that, the image of Superman, Captain America, these images, right? I want to walk right into how, at what point you had a hand in trying to relaunch, is that the right word? Like kind of relaunch, recreate, or really expand and start like Black Lightning, Tiger, like these characters that are not a typical like white savior, you know what I mean? Like you came in with that black power, that Black Lightning, as even he uses in some of his books.
Again,
what drove that?
That is personal. I had a comic book club when I was about 17 years old in Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland was very segregated at that time. And these meetings were held at the Cadell Recreation Center, which has since become infamous for where Tamara Rice was murdered by police officers. But back then, it was a very nice facility. And my first Black friends were comic book fans who came from the east side of Cleveland to the west side of Cleveland to attend my meetings. And, you're 17 years old. Diversity isn't really part of your language. I just felt it was unfair that my Black friends didn't have more characters that looked like them. So I told myself if I ever got into comics, I would try to work with characters of color and create them. So when I got to Marvel, I wrote Luke Cage, I wrote the Falcon, I wrote the Living Mummy, not that people realized he was Black because he was all covered in bandages.
Yeah.
And I created, I didn't want to call Black Goliath Black Goliath. I think that's a stupid name. I wanted to call him Giant Man, but Giant Man sold really badly, which is why he was kicked out of Tales to Astonish by the character.
Yeah.
So they told me I couldn't call him Giant Man. I created Tiger because I liked Greer Nelson, who had been the star of the short-lived Claws of the Cat.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt, well, I like the character. Let me find a way to use her. Misty Knight, I created because I hated writing the second-person captions in Iron Fist. You are Iron Fist, and you've just been kicked in the face. You are Iron Fist, and this hot dog doesn't taste like dog. I hated those things. So I said, I gotta give them.
I love that there are trends in comic books like that.
I have to give Danny Rand somebody he could talk to. And about that, I used to go to all the Black adventure films with the young Marvel Black artists, many of whom I worked with or gave starts to, like Ron Wilson and Arvil Jones and Keith Pollard. And we went to see Black Belt Jones with Jim Kelly. Not a great movie, but it had Gloria Hendry played this kick-ass female martial artist. And when we got out of the theater, I turned to Arvil Jones, who was going to be drawing my Iron Fist, and I said, we're going to put her in Iron Fist. And I said, she's going to be like the older sister that doesn't take any crap from him, that keeps calling him out on being naive.
Good.
But I want her, don't draw her to look like Gloria Hendry. Draw her to look like Pam Grier, because who on this earth doesn't love Pam Grier?
Of course.
Yep.
And he said, what are you going to call her? I said, Misty Knight, which is a name that had been kicking around in my head for a while. And he goes, Misty with a Y or an I? And my response was, with a Y, I'm not a savage.
I want to ask, we talk about, introducing these characters in the 70s. I have heard stories that there was a lot of pushback, especially at DC, but probably at Marvel too, from creating Black characters. And I think, like, famously, the story behind Tyrock in the
Right.
Legion of Superheroes was always kind of controversial. And then shortly after
What
that
a white
came
supremacist dream that character was.
right. Oh my God.
Black people every 100 years.
And then shortly after that came Black Lightning. So what was the feedback like from like the higher ups at DC and Marvel?
Well, DC had offered me a terrific deal to come over from Marvel. They never really honored that deal, but it was a good enough offer that I came over there. They handed me 2 scripts of a character called the Black Bomber.
Oh, I've heard of that.
By Robert Canninger and Jerry Conway. Now, Bob and Jerry, both friends of mine, both really good guys, very progressive. They thought they were doing a comic book version of the Godfrey Cambridge movie Watermelon Man. They were too close to it to realize how offensive this was. The Black Bomber was a white bigot who underwent camouflage experiments in Vietnam so that he could blend into the jungle better. Nothing happened in Vietnam, but when he got stateside, in times of stress, he would turn into the Incredible Negro.
But wasn't there? What, am I wrong? Didn't he have to say a special phrase, a word?
No.
To...
He it just happened. I mean, again, these were the 2 scripts that I was handed.
Different racist book.
It makes me think about when they had feminist books in the early 70s written by men, like what they think a feminist would want to read, and it's just they don't work too well.
Well, just to continue with the Black Bomber real quickly. Please. He did not know he turned into a Black Bomber, into the Black Bomber.
It just keeps getting worse.
Each of his identities had girlfriends who witnessed the transformation and never said anything.
Oh,
God.
If my significant other
was
a change like that, I'm going to ask a question or two. In each of the 2 scripts, he saves somebody he can't see clearly and then bemoans the fact that he risked his life for a black person. In one issue, it's a baby in a baby carriage.
no.
And he literally says, "You mean I risked my life for a jungle bunny?"
No. Oh.
DC wanted me to punch up these 2 scripts and then take over the book with the
Make
third.
them a little bit better.
Oof.
And I said, "No, you cannot publish these scripts."
Yeah.
And they go, "What do you mean we can't? We paid for them." I said, "No, you don't understand. They're the most offensive comic scripts I've ever read. And if you publish them, people will come to the offices with pitchforks and torches." And they go, "How do you know that?" I go, "I'll be leading them."
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Finally, I boiled it down to, do you really want DC's first major black superhero to be a white bigot? And so they agreed to give me a few weeks to create my own character. So
thank goodness.
nothing from the Black Bomber. I created Jefferson Pierce first. I wanted a role model, which is why he's a teacher in the inner city. He had to be an athlete, which is why he was an Olympic champ. We never got around to saying why he never made any money from that. In my mind, in the DC universe, he was one of the black athletes who gave the Black Power salute at the Olympics, and
Cool.
his athletic career was ruined after that. The fact that he came back to teach at his old high school, I stole that from Welcome Back, Kotter. So I'm getting ready to pitch the character, and it suddenly hits me, you've created Jefferson Pierce. You have not created a superhero. And I go, oh, shit.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around the offices. I got about an hour before the meeting, trying to come up with something. Julie Schwartz invites me in his office. He's going to lunch. He says, sit in my office. Something will come to you. And while I'm in his office, I see this Wonder Woman cover with Wonder Woman lassoing a Black Lightning bolt from her. I think she's standing on the wing of her invisible plane. And she's saying something like, Hera, help me stop this Black Lightning from destroying the city. And I'm going, Black Lightning, that's catchy. So the superhero part of Black Lightning was created less than an hour before I pitched the character to DC.
Oh, iconic.
I had learned fast thinking from Stan Lee. DC loved it. They offered me, a really good deal, which they didn't honor. And so I wrote the first series. I quit when they allowed Hanna-Barbera to basically
Yeah.
steal Black Lightning, and that's a
Mhm.
whole story that I don't need to get into. But basically, it wasn't Hanna-Barbera's fault as much as DC.
Yeah, that's when they
DC want,
introduced Black Vulcan into the
right.
Super Friends,
DC
who was
wanted,
exactly the same character except with no pants.
yeah, no
Oh,
pants. Jeff Pierce likes pants.
fact.
But yeah,
Canon.
it was
Fact, that's canon. We got it.
DC didn't want to pay. The deal with DC should have been that I got 10% of whatever they got from Black Lightning outside of comics. Actually, it was 20%.
Yeah.
So just doing some fake math, let's say there were 10 DC characters in that cartoon show, and Hanna-Barbera paid $1,000. So I would have gotten 20% of the $100 that would have paid for Black Lightning. DC didn't want to give me that pittance. So they told Hanna-Barbera that Hanna-Barbera had to pay extra for Black Lightning. And so I was, my last issue had a con artist named Barbara Hanna traveling with fake Black Lightning.
Yeah,
I'm still amazed I got to do that. But Joe Orlando, who was not happy with DC screwing me, Joe Orlando and my editor Jack Harris, they knew what I was doing, and they were fine with it.
Oh man.
So,
what's funny is you mentioned the Black Bomber. Dwayne McDuffie brought him back and made him canon as the Brown Bomber, and literally it's just a gag real quick where everybody's like, "No, you sit back down again." It's just,
Dwayne was a good friend. I got a lot of information from Dwayne that I wouldn't have had otherwise, that let me know how DC was continuing to screw me. We lost him too soon. He was a terrific writer and a terrific human being. And I wish I had just had more time to hang with him and everything, because he was really, just a fantastic human being.
The other
Jenny,
thing
I have a question for you here, because you know how recently we've got the new Superman film.
Right.
We had Hawk Girl. I know you had your hands Hawk Man.
Right.
Where things have come to this age now. Here we are. We've seen, like you said, before Batman became toxic, before Superman became the new, more grounded, more accepted Superman. I mean, from where you started off to where we are now, where do you see things moving forward? I mean, you've seen characters that you created. Do you see them maybe having a resurgence in somebody else's hands, or where do you see the industry going right now with how things are with the tone?
Well, as I've always said, I would gladly write Black Lightning till the day I died. DC Comics doesn't have that in their plans. They've done some really bad things with Black Lightning. The Batman and the Outsiders series, where Black Lightning abandoned. Three things are important to Jefferson Pierce: his family, his students, and his community. In Batman and the Outsiders, the second series, not the good one by Mike Barr, he leaves all that behind because Batman asked him to come to Gotham City to be his house Negro. He sets Jefferson Pierce up in an apartment, and DC did not like it when I joked that what does Bruce Wayne do? Leave the money on the end table, after each visit.
Wow.
They had him. They started a relationship with Katana, whereas Mike Barr had crafted this wonderful adult relationship, friendly relationship, not a romantic relationship between those two characters, and they took the cheap way out. Well, they're in the same team book. Let's have them be romantic. And then worst of all, they had Batman experimenting on him to increase his powers. And I'm going, did you never hear the Tuskegee experiment?
Mm-hmm.
And what was really appalling to me, at the same time they were doing that crap in the comic books, the wonderful Black Lightning TV series was doing stories about how the government was illegally experimenting on black people. So just a disconnect between, their...
The trouble with all that kind of stuff, there's such. Sorry, I could go off on a rant for a while when it comes to just the way people are depicted. The first Latin American DC character was a American white guy pretending to be Mexican, so that's a whole other thing. But I want to ask about Well, you got Tigra as well. She really
Yeah.
took off over time as an Avenger, especially,
Right.
and she got used other places as well. One thing I've noticed is I've seen a lot of well, I really like some of the female characters you've created. You know, Tigra. You already mentioned Misty Knight. There was a strength in them. You know what I mean?
Well, Tigra, I created Tigra to be, her speech pattern was basically just a small variation on Spider-Man's. Unfortunately, later writers turned into a cowardly slut. Brian Bendis had her, beaten and tortured.
Yeah, that's still sore with a lot of fans.
Currently in the Moon Knight series, I think she's regained her strength.
Yeah, well, pretty much everything post Bendis, they've been really rehabilitating her character. She's no longer treated as a floozy, I guess. I hate to use that term, but now she's a mother. She's very proactive. Right. She's seen as like somebody who the underworld actually fears because she went after them again. Projects you have coming out soon. I know you did the Last Kiss comics. I've been reading those. I love those. You post them on Facebook a lot.
They're so cute.
Thank you.
What else do you have coming up?
I have created a new trans superhero who I feel can be the Peter Parker for today's queer and straight kids. The first script is written, and I'm hoping to find a publisher for it. Of course, it's going to have to be a publisher that lets me have creative control because I didn't have creative control in Black Lightning, and I've regretted it ever since. I'm doing a full-length autobiography that will be pitched to people. I'm always doing things, whether or not I paid for them or not. I'm doing a pitch for a cheesy monster movie on a very topical subject. I have so many ideas. I will not live long enough to work on them all, but I'm still out there. I'm still writing. I'm still available for the right gigs. I'm not going anywhere.
I'm glad you can create them as Jenny Blake now, though. I think that's really cool.
That's the big thing.
Everything. I mean, I do not consider Tony Isabella a dead name. I did a lot of good work under that. I helped a lot of people, but Jenny Blake is who I am, and that's the name I will be writing, under from here on in.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. I love it. It's inspiring, like it definitely is, and someone that can just share their story out there. You put a little bit of yourself in all the characters and all the writing you've done, because you've done writing, Daredevil, Luke Cage, like you said, you've done it. It just goes on, and it's just an honor to be able to speak with you.
Well,
one thing that I get asked a lot from our listeners or our viewers as well is that, when you go into a project, for example, like what is it that is your project? What gives you that spark? What is that one thing that motivates you to get it done? Can you share that quickly for us?
It depends on the project. When I wrote Hawkman for DC, I was fascinated by two things: the Hawkman and Hawkwoman, because I really wanted to write a romantic married couple, and also the Thanagarian of Zorbiscon, which could basically read everybody's mind. And it'd been treated as this wonderful invention. And I'm looking at him going, no, this is one of the worst weapons you could have.
Yeah.
This is the stuff of totalitarianism. So those were the two driving things in Hawkman.
Gotcha. Jenny, I want to just thank you again for taking the time to chat with us here. And Primos, you got to go support Jenny and her work. Look up her work. I'm telling you, you go through this catalog of work. It's exciting. I fell down a rabbit hole reading about Black Lightning the other day, how he took on the Flash and all this, and it was like whoa, I literally went down and I got really excited about your work. And Jenny, I want to just thank you for sharing. And Primos, go out there and support Jenny and all her work.
Where can we find you, Jenny, online?
I'm on Facebook, still under the name Tony Isabella. That will change. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on X. I have a blog called Tony Isabella's Bloggy Thing. All those names will eventually change. It's just that, again, I'm an unfrozen cave person, comic writer, and until my IT guy does this for me. I'm afraid that if I try changing my name on Facebook, that I'll lose my Facebook page and my 5,000
I
friends.
would worry about that too.
Well, yeah.
I was just double checking to make sure. Yes, I am following you on Blue Sky.
Okay.
All right, Primo, let's go support us. Follow Tony Isabella and Jenny Blake, of course, and their work. And stay tuned, Primos. We have more for you coming up. We are back, Primos. Thank you for hanging in there. And Elia was eating the mic. We are back. We had a great time with Jenny Blake. Please go follow Jenny. Follow her. Follow the work. Definitely excited that she is going to have more stuff coming down the line for us to enjoy. So that's an awesome thing. But something else happened this past week as of recording. Mr. Kevin Garcia seriously? Randomly. Hold on. Let me put you on the spot. Okay? The whole summer, he's like, I'm not gonna go to San Diego. I can't go to San Diego. It's not gonna happen. The first time in 15 years, I'm not gonna go. It's just not gonna happen. Boom, the day of. All right, so I'm going to San Diego, and I'm like, what?
We got the text. I'm here. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that happened. Yeah.
So you were at Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, excuse me, and me and Ellie are at home scrolling oh, cool. And he even, hey, guess what, Elia? Did you know he has a Nathan Fillian story?
Yeah. Just the most nonchalant story
right?
as well.
Talk about a fucking brag, right? Shit, man.
Oh,
Kevin,
man.
go ahead, tell it again, won't you?
Well, first off, just going to San Diego, because I worked at Marvel, I was a comic book professional, and you have to.
The hell you say?
Right, I know. So you have to every 3 years show that you've done at least 3 books professionally, and they go and vet you to see if we approve you still for your professional one. And the thing is, I was good, but remember I stopped working at Marvel around 2019, so it should have expired a couple years ago. But then the pandemic happened, and I think they just pushed everything back without telling us they were going to push it back. So I was still qualified until last year. And this year I hadn't resubmitted stuff because the books that I'd already written, it got delayed. So, that kind of stuff. And I just figured I'm not going to go anyway. So it's no big deal. And then my partner and I realized we hadn't done a vacation this year at all, of any kind. We were kind of stressed out from a long year. So we were like, we need to go somewhere. So literally the Thursday before that Comic-Con week, I contacted some friends and I'm like, hey, anybody need a speaker on a panel? So I ended up doing 3 panels on the same day.
Three.
Yeah. 3. Well, because I asked several people, and 3 of them all said yes.
Anybody at San Diego Comic-Con listening or has que tenga palancas over there? I'm available for panels. So is Elia.
I'll find a way. There's trains that go over there.
I will find a way. I'm from LA. I can get there.
I'm not, but I have a map.
I will be okay. All right. Sorry, Kevin. Sorry.
Anyway, yeah. 3 panels. Okay.
So I did that. One was the main reason that I was going to go is because the Dragon Lee book I did came out this past year, and even though I've been working on that for years, I'd never met Dragon Lee. And he was going to be a surprise guest at Comic-Con. So I was like, I can be a surprise guest.
Hell
so,
yeah.
We finally got to meet up for the first time and do a panel together. So that was really cool. We
That's cool.
Bonded a bit.
That's
In
really
fact,
cool.
there's a picture that my partner took of me and him kind of whispering while everybody else is on the mic at the time. And she goes, look at the cheese man. Look at the cheese man.
I love her.
We should frame that picture.
Yeah. Cheeseman.
Why not, dude? Just get. I want to be able to walk into your place whenever you allow me into your, into your home.
You guys are welcome anytime. Show up already.
Sure.
I mean, I'll be in Austin in 2 weeks, so.
Oh yeah, we have a special. We have guests coming up too as well. Might as well put it out there. We have a guest coming out a couple weeks as well. We're gonna be in Austin right around the same time. We have Professor Latinx on the show, talking about is it an anthology? Right, it's an anthology collection. Yeah, that Elia's a part of as well. Which she didn't tell me until I found out third or second hand through a media post.
It was my bad.
Look at these people. We're primos.
I'm sorry.
We're primos.
No, here's the thing with me. I forget who I tell things to, but then I don't want to say it again because I don't want to be annoying about things. You know what I mean?
Kevin Garcia tells us stuff at the last minute, or
it was last minute for me too. Okay, look, the Nathan Fillian thing you mentioned, that was also after the fact.
Again, tell it again.
So on Thursday, I had 3 separate panels. I had the Dragon Lee one. I did one talking to some people who make special effects for Sony and other indie companies as well. And we were talking about making animals and creatures and special effects. And then I had one with several comic book historian friends of mine where we talked about Silver Age Flash and how that kind of revolutionized comic books. But all of those were bunched together. In fact, 2 of them were one after another in 2 separate buildings.
No!
So I had to run through the full-on crowd of 150,000 people to go from one building to the next building. And he
knocked over Nathan Fillian, everybody. Well, he landed right on top of him.
So the next day, we're exhausted. And we're like, you know what? Let's get some supplies. We go to CVS. And behind me in line, I see this little kid talking to somebody. Say, hey, do you mind if I... And I thought he was asking his parents if he could buy a candy. And the guy's like, sure, it's okay. I look back, and they're taking a selfie together. Oh, it's Green Lantern. Okay, cool.
Hold on. You can slow down for the rest of us that don't schmooze with, Hollywood stardom and comic book. But Nathan, so he was in line, and
what was he buying?
I don't know, supplies. Him and his friends were there. I don't know if it's his agent or whoever was with him. They were 2 other people with him. And he was just smiling. And I remember he took a selfie with a kid. The kid just ran off, and he was joking with them about how I guess that's all he wanted was just a picture. But he was real because I guess the kid had been following him around the store a little bit, quietly. He's maybe a 10, 12-year-old kid, just following him around. He's like, can I? So
that's cute.
And I thought about bothering him, but I'm like, I'm not gonna bother him. He's just buying stuff at CVS. Let him live his life. And then after I left, I was like, I should have told him about my Primos podcast.
That's the thing. There we go. That's the thing, people. We've been doing this for a minute now. At least Elia has it on her schedule, and she posts it online. Kevin Garcia.
Hold on. Don't bring me into this.
I didn't have a schedule, though. It was just kind of happened, You know
what, Elia? I think we have to finally pull the trigger and make a shirt. We need to Primos. We need to make a shirt.
We need merch, dude.
We need merch. It's time.
We need merch.
The time has come.
I would like to have a life-size cardboard standee of myself for whenever I'm not available.
I think we all do. I think we also should make little tabletop ones so we can take you with us to events in case you can't be there. Yeah,
I like that.
Everyone needs a pocket Kevin.
Someone
fill the hole.
Well, he does fill the hole. Hey, a pocket Kevin. Nice.
Pocket Kevin.
Nice. I need my pocket Kevin.
I don't know where to go with that one.
Hey, I can go anywhere if you'll fit right in my pocket. Right in my pocket.
I have a laminator.
I fit in many things.
I digress here. Everything, guys. But San Diego Comic-Con looked like fun. A lot of our friends were there. So shout out to all the primos out there at San Diego Comic-Con.
We see you. There were so many primos out there.
I got to meet several people who I've known online for a while for the first time in person, including a guy who drew the handbook profiles that I wrote back at Marvel.
Hey, cool.
So we finally met, And there were a couple times where I'd be walking around, somebody would be like, hey, Kevin Garcia, you said you were going to be here. And then I'd be like, hi. And then they just keep walking. I'm like, I don't know who that was.
Oh, to be recognized at San Diego Comic-Con.
No, I was like, that's kind of cool, I guess. But I don't know what that was about. They just took off.
I did get recognized at some con, but just because of my nasally voice. Because I guess they're like, I know that voice. And I was like,
oh, my God. I got recognized at C2E2 by someone who watched my vlogs. I was like, I reached over here.
Nice.
I'm thinking I just reached Dallas.
That primo reach.
I want to point out, you guys talk about FOMO while I was at San Diego. I was the only primo not invited to Chicago. So
you were
slow down. Whoa. Slow down. Whoa, Elia. Right?
Okay. I just couldn't fit it in my schedule, but still, I choose to say that I was not invited.
I promise you.
This next year, we're manifesting. We're all gonna go to C2E2 together, and we're all gonna go to San Diego Comic-Con together. I'm going to manifest it right now.
Kevin Garcia, if we go back to your what is it? If we scrub the web, I promise you were at a convention.
I don't remember what I was doing that weekend, but there was some reason I couldn't go, and I was like,
exactamundo. No, but I'm excited because we do have a lot of primos that are going to come on the show here. I kind of have them all booked up here that we'll have on the show, so I'm excited for that. So stay tuned, primos. And so far, this is about the midpoint of our season, by the way, guys. I don't know if you're aware of this. We're getting close to the middle.
More episodes for this season.
Only 100 more? I don't even know what number we're on. You know how the hell is episode?
Yeah, I forget. I always put like I used to put what episode was coming out on my schedule, and then I stopped doing it one day, and I just was like, fuck, I don't even know what episode we're on now. I show up.
I've been doing this for going on. This will be our 8th season. It is our 8th season. We're going on 9 seasons here, and as long as the people enjoy it and want it, you know. And I'm really happy that the primos that have kept in touch or new primos coming on board, if this is your first episode, welcome. You walked into a good one. I've had a consistent communication with the community, which I've always loved, right? We always talk about comunidad and how we support each other, how we have to pull each other along, you know? So I'm glad that we have the following that we have, that we've kept up with, as well as what we've grown. And I'm just excited because, you know, we manifest these things, and just keep an eye out, primos, because we have things in the works that the primos are getting their hands on that we want you all to be a part of as well. So just keep an eye out for that. But speaking of cool stuff that we're into, that we've gotten into recently, Kevin wants to talk about Fantastic Four because the man cannot hold it inside of his body long enough.
Look at him, he's about to explode.
Look at him. He can't change.
Oh my gosh, Kevin, calm
down. Calm down. So, because Ella hasn't seen the film, but she says she does not care about spoilers, primos, there will be some spoilers. So,
yeah, spoiler warning, everyone, right now. You can't be mad at us after listening to this point. Sorry about it.
Yeah, literally, actually, no, you are 30 minutes into this show and about 10 minutes into this gab. There are spoilers for whatever we're talking about. Especially since I'm going to bring something up that's not Marvel. Technically, if it falls under Disney, somehow it's Marvel. I don't know. Someone gave me that speech the other day that it's Disney, so it's all in the tree of Loki-ness somehow.
Oh, I like that. That's going to be a thing now. The tree of Loki-ness. Wow.
Yes, I don't know. I coined it. Patent pending.
Our idea.
So once we start covering like Secret Wars and Doomsday and everything, it's a tree of Loki-ness. We got to keep track.
Okay, I wore my Doom shirt to the Fantastic Four movie because I had to, you know, because I love my Doom, and I was pumped about Doom. You know that every time we talked about that, I was like Doom. Here we are.
But honestly, you're always talking about Doom. Oh, you meant the character.
Doom.
Oh, look at that.
Fantastic Four. Kevin Garcia, you hold. I know you're gonna burst. I'll give you my quick take, and then you go nuts, okay? Because he's gonna. I'm surprised because you were. Let me rephrase. I told Lucia, my wife, I was like, I'm surprised Kevin Garcia hasn't made a video about this yet. But I'm like, he's away. That's why he can't just sit down and.
In fact, I didn't even think I was going to see the movie while San Diego, but we were so exhausted after that Thursday. We decided, you know what? Let's go see the movie. Let's go see a movie. So, by the way, the prices in San Diego are like twice the price of tickets here in Austin.
Oh, I'm sure.
And like every theater we checked.
Sure. Yeah, but it's 4D and it snows inside the movie theater, so you can enjoy it. Okay? Okay, all right.
And they give us little goblets of wine and stuff.
Wow.
Goblets of wine. Kevin Garcia living it up. I really enjoyed the movie. They pulled off something that I didn't think they would pull off. They gave me a grounded-ish story that allowed me to care so much about a family in such a small amount of time.
Oh my God.
And dare I say, the hero of this movie is Susan Storm. She is the hero of this film. 100%.
I want to say that she got the biggest hero moment, but the second biggest hero moment was Johnny Storm, and that's very surprising based on how he's usually treated in media. He's an afterthought at most and a sexist jerk at worst. So, he also got a moment. It's kind of weird that the ones who got the least amount, I guess, they still got some time, was Ben and Reed. So,
and we have a Ben Grimm that was. At least if we just use the movies in the past that we should not speak of again, I guess. If Czarface tells us he'll find every movie and burn them. But a Ben Grimm that was like, I couldn't tell he was made of rock.
Oh yeah.
The man was a human being on screen, just living his days and being like, his interpretation of this character was just not what I was expecting.
We tell you couldn't tell. Acting is the primary thing, but I also want to say that special effects wise, I'm not totally certain how they did it because, okay, they first announced it was going to be CG, and then that picture went around the net of like, here's the physical costume. I can't believe it's going to be physical. And I kept thinking, it's not going to be physical. They're not going to do an animatronic or anything. And it was like, look how good the animatronics are. I'm like, it's not that. But then I found out they did something, I think what they did is something similar to what they did for that little elephant kid on Skeleton Crew, which is they have a physical body there where there was an actual actor inside of a suit being Ben, and that they would then CG the parts that needed CG'd because they could do it in bits. So I guess there really was a person on set that was the thing. And
if the Netflix One Piece show has taught me anything, we can have a stretchy man on screen and it actually looks good. Like, don't get me wrong.
They were very subdued with the stretchiness in this movie, but it was still good.
So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really recommend watching it. If you've never watched anything, Elia, this is your jumping off point. This is your Iron Man moment.
It's
like,
good even if I have no context.
Yep, 100%.
I love that.
That's one of the things a lot of the fans.
There's the Kevin Garcia.
No, I want to comment on what Elia said because you said you could go in with no context. One of the things that people were complaining about the last several, Captain America: Brave New World, Marvels, Ironheart, even, is that a lot of these things you needed to have watched other things to get them all. And of course, I've watched them all, so I didn't think too much of it. But I get it. This movie, literally, you need to know nothing about the other Marvel Universe. The only reference to anything else in the Marvel Universe pre-existing to it is the fact that in the opening scene it says Earth 838 or 828 rather, and the only reason that's relevant is because, well, if you've seen the other movies, they reference other Earths. But other than that, there's no other reference to anything else Marvel.
This is it, Leah. This is your moment. Walk right in.
Also, it's got our primo Pedro Pascal in it. So
of course. I mean, somebody asked me, was he Latino coded in the movie? Like, was it Reed? And I'm like, I don't think so. But he also wasn't not Latino coded, so it could go either way. It wasn't nothing explicit, but like, because Pedro Pascal's played white guys before. Yeah, he kept his own accent in this movie and everything, but it was just
a very subdued Pedro Pascal, and I like that he wasn't the hey, you're gonna love this because Pedro's in here. No, like it was truly an ensemble cast.
Character. Yeah,
an ensemble cast, and I dug it. So Kevin, I'll let you loose.
Okay,
what did you think?
Honestly, I don't have a lot of thoughts, but the one big thing that gets me applies to both Fantastic Four and Superman, and that is both movies did the one thing that I said going in I did not want them to do. They're different things for each movie, but both did the thing I did not want them to do. And yet I still enjoyed both movies despite that. And in the case of Fantastic Four, I really did not want them to be a 60s movie. I really did not want it at all because as fun as the 60s aesthetic was, although people pointed out this is kind of like an alternate 60s where there is no reference to segregation. I mean, it's New York, but there still would have been references, but they had fun with it. You get this, cool Jetsons aesthetic going on. And this is pre-Watergate. So people have like 100% faith in their public figures, which from a modern, somebody commented, I heard a review today actually, where somebody was saying that, well, it's unrealistic that people would just suddenly like them if something went wrong. And then one of the members gave a speech, but pre-Watergate, that wasn't unheard of. Pre-Watergate, people would just say, well, I know they said Kennedy did this thing, but I heard him talk yesterday and it's good now, So that's reasonable. So yeah, I liked it. The reason I didn't want it to be a 60s thing is because I'm afraid now that in any future adaptation, people are going to expect the Fantastic Four to be a 60s property. And I always say, like, Tony Stark's origin was literally set in the Vietnam War. The beginning of it, no less. The Hulk's origin was about literally the Cold War with Russia, So all of these things were tied to their era. I mean, Peter Parker was a nerd, but very much the 60s version of a nerd, not like the 40s, 50s version of a nerd. 40s, not like today where nerds are not viewed the same way. Now, I wish I was a nerd,
Yeah.
I wish.
Exactly. Well, no, I do. People call me a nerd. I'm like, no, I'm a geek. If I was a nerd, I'd make more money. But the thing is that, like, so they did that. And I didn't like that, but they did it well, and I still enjoyed it. In fact, the one thing that I think is weird too is about the way they chose to is they want to avoid origin stories, but they still spend the first 20 minutes of the movie rehashing their origin. And I'm like,
with all due respect, because with all due respect, we got to Silver Surfer fucking fast. We did. They did not dwell. Yeah.
No, but what got me and my partner and I both was that when we watched it, we weren't sure when the movie started because for a bit they kept going back and forth between them talking and then TV shows reacting to them. And it wasn't until I guess Silver Surfer on that they stopped showing the reaction shots. They still did reaction shots, but it wasn't like they interrupted the movie to do a reaction shot, And so that was a good chunk of it before we're like, okay, now we're in the movie. Okay, now we've started. Good. That being said, again, we really enjoyed it. I love the family part of it, rather. Getting into heavier spoilers, I avoided every trailer after the first one, but I still knew that she was going to get pregnant. Even though I avoided that because it was just out there so much. And I wish they didn't put all this. They did a good job of hiding it in the first trailer. People were theorizing, and they should have left it like that. But yeah, the movie, I felt like in this movie, they wanted to get to immediately the parts of the Fantastic Four that all the previous adaptations had not had time to get to yet. Like, they wanted to get to this stuff in the third of the 2000s movies. Who knows about the Fan Four Stick. And then the 90s one was what it was. But they got the marriage thing out of the way. It happened in the past. They got the baby stuff. So we get to see Franklin finally, which a lot of internet fans that are always doing the who would win battles, they're like, hey, they get to see their most powerful character again. So there's that. And so get that out of the way. And we also get, like you were saying earlier, Galactus looking and feeling like Galactus. I do have one minor quibble with that, but it's minor. And my minor quibble, again, spoilers, is that they defeat him physically. And that has happened in the comics. When I say defeat, it's literally they die in the process. So barely, getting through it. But still, physical power was what defeated him, which has happened in the comics, but it was years of interactions with Galactus before that actually happened in the comics. And I kind of wish we established him as like, well, the only way to do this is bargain, negotiate, figure things out. I kind of wanted that first, but that being said, the way they defeated him.
It's cartoonish, and they were making fun of the cartoon like throughout the movie. There's a whole gag about it's clobbering time and being a cartoon.
I wish it wasn't a gag, but I did enjoy the cartoon bits.
It was a gag, but I get it. Like they defeated the big baddie, like you said, like it was a cartoon in a sense. But here's my thing, and it's a big spoiler, so please, we've warned you enough.
Do it.
I'm ready.
Susan Storm should have died.
That's what I was waiting for. And that's why
there was a scene, Ilya, where
she did die. What are you talking about?
Hold on, she died. That's what I'm getting at. She dies, and it is like it goes on for a beat too long, where you're like, oh shit, they did it. Like they fucking gave us a heroine that was a badass from the start throughout the fucking movie, and they killed her, and they let us sit with it. But then we have the most powerful baby in the fucking existence. Just put her hands on her, and they bring her back. But me, like the darkest guy inside of me, I'm like, dude, yes, lay the baby on top of her so that we can have that shot of the mother, dead mom with baby on top. Like
damn,
I want the trauma. Today. I want that Franklin. Come on, we know Franklin. If you're a fan, we need him to be fucked up because then there's a whole future thing and whatever. Yeah. Point is. Oh, they're setting him up to be traumatized. And throughout the movie, they sprinkle Doom, as we know.
Yeah, there's all hints of Dr. Doom. Yeah, hints of it, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, okay, let's do this. But Elia.
Wait, real quick.
Magic Baby.
Before you go to the Magic Baby, I want to touch what you were saying about Susan. And that is, she does die, but she is the only one that put a dent in the battle with the Galactus. Like, Thing bounces off of him. Reed does nothing. Human Torch just doesn't even notice the blast. It's only Sue that's able to push it back, and it's because she's pushing herself beyond her limits, and then she dies in the process. But I love it because it justifies what has been known to comic book fans since at least the 80s, if not a little bit earlier. She is the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four. And the idea that no one else could even affect. And in fact, I heard people online joking, like, let's get her versus Scarlet Witch and see what happens, that kind of thing. But like,
yeah, I saw that too.
I think that's important. While I didn't want the physical defeat of Galactus, I'm glad it was Sue because it helps establish that. So I do like that. Okay, now what were you gonna say about the Magic Baby?
Magic Baby, which kind of like questionable CG, by the way. You kind of they were
I saw
stretching
that
their
online, and
dollars.
one of the responses was, "Yeah, but it's very hard to get a real baby to act that part of the movie."
Okay, Elia, can you get a baby to do this?
Yeah, but
Maybe.
you have to get him to do it on time, and then also sad and happy, that kind of stuff. It's hard.
Elia's shaking her head.
I don't think cinemas had good luck with babies doing magical things in movies.
Hold on. If South Park can have Donald Trump run into the desert,
That's
fucking
South
taking
Park.
his clothes off.
It's not hard to play an idiot.
That's true.
True. I stand corrected.
It's much harder to play something with baby intelligence.
Yes.
You're right. You're right. You know what? No dog in that fight. No dog in that fight. But I would say I really enjoyed the film. My son, which is like I told you, not a comic book movie fan, he was like, you know what? I really liked that it was semi-grounded because it did feel like they're in trouble here. Like Galactus is who Galactus is. Like we're in trouble.
And I really loved the idea that number one, the entire planet got scared and then angry and then got together. And I'm not gonna lie, whenever that kind of thing happens in movies, I get chills and I will cry. And they got me with the whole world getting behind the idea of working together.
I mean, her speech, dude, that phrase is stuck in my head. She goes, I am not going to give my child up for this world, but I'm not going to give up the world, right?
For my child.
For my child.
Yeah.
And like, you're like, fuck. Like, Sue, Sue walked out of this like, she's right now, like, she's fucking the shit. She's the hero. She's the queen. Like, she's the queen right now.
I want to touch on Johnny, too, though, because I mentioned that he got the thing here. Johnny usually just seen as the idiot. Some versions of the story will give him a little bit more credit and intelligence. Some give him none. And sometimes he seems like one of those like himbo savants where like he did something stupid, but it was in a way that like he planned it all along, number one, and it was successful, but it just seems so stupid.
And he didn't look like he was on Redolin. Like he was actually like solid.
100%. They had him as kind of like I don't want to say he's a linguistics expert, but more like he got to dedicate himself to one thing until he fixed it. And he did a great job with it. Now, the believability of him pulling together an alien language from scrap, I don't know, but he did it. And it was cool. And that scene also gave me chills. I really got chills from the scene that showed Johnny, without even telling his family, because he knew they were busy. He's like, I don't want to interrupt them with their stuff. I'm going to do it by myself. Mm-hmm. He did it. They were surprised too. Like he just really, like, that was amazing.
But then Kevin Garcia is mad because there's no guy with little wings on his feet showing up, at their doorstep.
That's everybody's joke right now is, well, now that they're both in the universe, multiverse rather, we'll just see what happens. But I heard somebody else say that this version of Namor would not go for a white girl.
Oh my god!
I mean,
nice. Well, before we wrap up, Kevin, because we've had a good night tonight. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that we're all together here, and we'll have all the primos on here soon. We want to just again promote that we will be, 3 of us will be at Texas Latino Comic Con as be August 9th. It's in Dallas, Texas, at the Latino Cultural Arts Center. Just check out Texas Latino Comic Con for more details. There's lucha. There's not only say music and dancing, but there's music. I'll be dancing somewhat, walking around.
Yeah.
We'll have some fun. And
I'll be selling books.
Hey, he'll be selling books. Ellie will be selling books. I'll be
buying books.
I'll be involved. I'll put it this way. I'll be involved. There's something.
You'll be involved.
I'll be involved.
Nice. Hint of the future.
Hint of the future. Kevin Garcia, there is something that I want to bring up, and I point you out because I have finished or caught up to the greatest television extravaganza that is 911. And Alexis needs to be on the show soon.
Yeah.
Because when I tell you that this show I've cried in the last week like 3 or 4 times watching this fucking show that I can't speak. I mean, it's just good. It's out of control good. 911 is insane. Angela Bassett is insanely. She's a superhero. She's a fucking superhero.
This is first responders. That this same group of first responders have landed a crashing plane, solved 2 separate cruise ship incidents, sinking cruise ships.
Caught like 5 serial killers.
Yeah, dealt with a crashing train. Caught several serial killers. Yes. What else? Dealt with a B-NATO, which
Yes.
that's a
B
thing.
NATO. Bees. I sat there with my wife and like, Okay, it's a like bee. Hold on, bees and airplane crashes. This woman can do anything. Like I was just like, oh.
It's to the point that whenever there's anything in the news about something that first responders go to, like I think the 911 fandom gets together and go, okay, how long before that shows up in the show? How long before that shows up in the show? Because they get really dedicated to the idea that, yeah, all these craziness things, they're all mostly based on, like, there's one episode where they find a tiger in the third floor of an apartment building, like a full adult tiger.
Yes.
And that really happened, you know? So it's like, these are things that are in the news. It just happens to, all of these things happen to one fire department.
Point is, there's 8 seasons of this show, which you can watch on Disney, because it's Hulu Disney, and you can watch on Hulu.
Plus a couple seasons that take place in Austin that look nothing like Austin.
It's all yellow too. That yellow
it's a spinoff
filter.
show. They do that sepia yellow filter for Texas. It's ridiculous.
Why I bring it up is that I'm gonna ask Alexis to be on the show soon. Okay, you need to have a conversation. I'll bring my wife too, because we're fans. Like, we have to make this happen. Elia, try to catch up as much as you can.
Put this into the universe.
Put it into the universe. Point is that I say it out loud, and I geek out over like ridiculousness, because at the end of the day, it's entertainment. It's fun. It's campy, right? Like, we talk about Fantastic Four being in the 60s. We talk about Superman. Like, there's a campiness to it. That's a fun to it. Like, I look at this show when it comes on, and I go, man, what are they gonna get into next? Like, not only like everything from a corrupt politician to like kidnappings to like Ebola, an advanced version of Ebola gets released.
God.
That's some nuts stuff. It's crazy.
I mean, it's out of control, but it does it in such a way that they know that okay, I have a fucking bee tornado attacking the city. Like, they know they're ridiculous, but
I'm still upset there wasn't really a resolution to that particular plot. I mean, they just kind of like B-NATO happened, and then they got to the next incident and just forgot about the bees.
Hold on. B-NATO ends up with going into a guy that's flying like a little tiny airplane.
Yeah, but that's not all the bees.
That caused him to crash into a commercial jetliner that then our main character has to magically be on the plane, and she has to land the plane with like an 8-year-old co-pilot that had a VR headset. I'm telling you, it's out of control. It's like, you can't make this
all
up.
of this just out of context. I'm just like, huh?
Yeah. I'm telling you, the 911 fandom is nuts too. I went on.
Why would a truck be driving around with 20,000 killer bees specifically? Like bees. Yes.
I love how they're like, no, hold on.
They never address it.
20 million.
They never address why though. Like, I just needed one little offhand comment of like they were going to a facility for being studied or something.
Elia gets it. We can fill in the gaps. Honey.
I don't know. I'm on Reddit. I hear a bunch of crazy stories every day.
True that. But 911, Alexis, I'm putting the energy out there. We need to have a 911 episode because I need to like sit here and like just talk back and forth about drama, relationships, marriages breaking up, like all this stuff.
Oh my God.
And why is it that there's only one 911 operator in all of Los Angeles that can solve a crime on a call? And whatever. I have my qualms.
Oh my God, you haven't worked in dispatching law enforcement.
I have not.
I've actually known dispatchers. I was with a dispatcher for many years, actually. So,
I mean, hold on. Correct me, please correct me. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, it's a TV show, it's a cartoon for adults, but for her to pull up schematics of an old building and find like, yeah, there's a vent, you have to squeeze in, it's only 2 inches, this to that. I'm like,
so it could be real. So. For context, my day job, I work in surveillance, and we dealt with dispatching when I worked in the monitoring department. We have access to maps of certain buildings and certain areas.
So 911 could happen.
Yeah, it could. Like, I don't know how extensive they have access to maps. We don't have like vents, but we have like stairwells. We have like each room. We have where certain like fixtures, electrical fixtures are. Like, yeah,
all stuff like that. So I'm thinking, okay,
there's two things though. One, it's LA, so maybe they've got more resources than other places.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Two, it's kind of quasi sci-fi in that things are a little bit more
you gotta
exaggerated.
make it entertaining.
Because I have that Super Ebola episode, but also it's established that within this universe is that Doc Odyssey show, and that Doc Odyssey show, they have a cruise ship that basically has a Star Trek medical bay in it. So like it's quasi sci-fi. So
look, I'm a fan. I'm not complaining. I'm just excited because it's Like, what else you got? And
Yeah.
I just went through a traumatic experience watching one episode, so I really want to know what Alexa's thoughts are on. Okay.
Oh no.
So we had a loss of a main character,
Oh
which
no.
felt, in my opinion, wrong.
Oh.
Because there's a character that I'll leave you with this. There's a character that has literally died like 6 times in this fucking show, but yet we end up getting rid of somebody else. I don't know. That's all I'm saying right now. I need someone to really dive in with me. So
honestly, that is a whole thing.
That is a whole thing. Well,
okay, I just got a message from somebody saying that they can overhear us discussing 911 and are getting excited.
Summoned.
Summon it. We're putting it out, the energy out there, because I have issues. I don't know if I'm a fan of Chimney. I'll put it out there. Let her know what. She knows. They will know what I mean by that.
I honestly, I just wish Chimney had a giant scar on his head. That's what I want.
He doesn't have a.
No.
Elia, I'm taking off the hat. The guy had a rebar go through his fucking brain, but yet there's no scar. There's no scar.
Continuity issue.
So no. Apparently he did have a scar at first, and then it was just a little makeup thing, and now there's nothing. But according to the actor, every time he comes to set, they put a little tiny bit of makeup there. So it's like, all right. Whatever.
Point is, ridiculousness. This has been a fun night, guys. It's been a fun night. You know, we started out fun. We ended up fun. This is what it's all about, hanging with Primos. And everybody listening out there and watching. We know we do have listeners as well that don't just follow us on the visuals, but the audios as well. Thank you guys for listening to us, and of course sharing what we do. And Primos, of course, we have Comic Con coming up. But Elia, Kevin, is there anything coming up maybe before that or around that? Something else you want to bring up for the Primos before we go?
Well, I'll be doing Colossal Con in Round Rock, Texas, the week before. I'm going to the Latino Comic Con in Dallas, but I'm looking forward to both, and I probably have some more events coming up after that. But I definitely,
And yeah, about you, anything you want to?
Yeah, we're gonna have Dr. Aldama on the show, but yeah, the weekend after Texas Latino Comic Con, I will be in Austin. To celebrate the release of the From Cocinas to Lucha Libre book. And that'll be at First Light Books. So I'll be there along with other fellow creatives that got to contribute to the book, and hopefully I'll get to meet y'all. And,
I'll make sure and be out of Austin that day.
Oh well, of course.
I'm going to come to your house and pet your cat.
That's fair.
Whoa. Well, Primos, with that,
Freddie went
Elia,
with that, y'all. Y'all saw that.
Elia's going after all the cats.
I listen. If there's a party and you have a pet cat, I will be petting the cat and partying in a corner.
I was wrong. Colossal Con is the week after Texas Latino Comic Con.
So you won't be there.
Yep, I'll be in Round Rock. It's still Austin area.
Yeah, that's Austin. Yeah.
Kevin Garcia and Elia Maria.
I had to look up to make sure.
Primos, follow us at My Primos Podcast and check out myprimospodcast.com. And of course, check out at Spice Illustrations and Kevin Garcia _com. And check out 911. I'm just saying just so you can chat with me because it's fucking out of control. Okay.
On Kevin Garcia _com for I didn't know what to do for the Superman movie because I don't usually do DC content, but I was like, you know what? There's been Black Superman. There's even a Chinese Superman who was very popular a couple years ago. What about Mexican Superman? So I did videos about Mexican Superman, and one of them in a couple of days became one of my most liked videos, and I've been doing this for a couple of years.
Kevin Garcia, you're our Mexican Superman.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Primos, take care of each other, check in with each other, and of course, remember, no matter where you're from, we're all primos. Mm-hmm. Take care. Adios.
We out.
Mwah.
Rosa entre espinas.